RCTV presents the first race of the weekend here for the Division 1 trucks. Remember, the grids are split. We've got such a big entry here. The track only licensed for so many trucks, and therefore Division 1 and 2 are split so that everybody gets their races. Here's how they line up. Ryan Smith on pole from David Jenkins, Jamie Anderson and Simon Reed Road 2, then Stuart Oliver and Terry Gibbon, Martin Gibson, Ricky Collett and John Newell completing the lineup for Div 1, and they're coming along centre straight now, ready for the first race of the weekend. Championship leader Ryan Smith on pole position. Remember, this is the only race where you'll see, in theory, the fastest one off the front, and Ryan Smith already away with David Jenkins slotting into second place, Jamie Anderson in black behind Jenkins looking for third place, Simon Reed on the outside. Smith goes out wide, grabs the line that he wants down into Riches. Reed on the outside line of Anderson, Anderson behind him. Terry Gibbon in the mix as well. John Newell at the back chasing Ricky Collett, but it's championship leader Ryan Smith in front. The Morris Lubricants digraph machine of David Jenkins in second. Collett and Martin Gibson. Martin Gibson in the second of the GT tyre trucks. Debut man this year in truck racing, has done very well indeed. Now Ryan Smith off the front here, unusual new livery for him, the ex-Matt Summerfield machine. You would not bet against Ryan here, having set pole position time. In terms of truck racing, a lot of debate goes on about the race format, whether you should have the fastest off the front for the first race of the day, but it's a nice thing just to tick things off, just to get things underway, to see who is fastest. And you'd probably get some sandbaggers if you ran the fastest off the back, unless you had championship points, of course, for qualifying. But it works pretty well. We've got Ryan Smith there, Simon Reed coming under pressure from Jamie Anderson. It just gives the guys, Ricky Collett running a little bit wide, and Martin Gibson's going to go through on the inside of the exit of Williams. That's going to be the outside for the next corner as they run down the back straight, the Bentley straight here. Through goes Jenkins, through goes Reed and Anderson. Stuart Oliver next up from Terry Gibbon, and side by side Collett on the inside, but that move was completed there by Martin Gibson. Has a best result this year, 4th place. That was in race 2 at Thruxton, brand newcomer this year, and the vastly more experienced Rick Collett all over the back of him. So Gibson holds on to position. Collett, you can see, working hard. Through Coram they come. Stuart Oliver up ahead of Terry Gibbon. John Newell at the back, who's learning this circuit. John Newell, this is the first time he's been to Snetterton. He did race with the trucks many years ago. If you've watched their other races this year, specifically Donington Park, where we met John Newell for the first time this season, raced back in the day. And truck racing, by the very nature of the machines and the type of tracks, the specifications of the tracks that we run on safety wise, not every track in the UK is able to run or licensed to run trucks. And what I'm getting around to saying is that John Newell, when he used to race trucks, didn't race here at Snetterton. Back when he was racing, Snetterton was the 200 circuit, the 2 mile effectively outfield circuit, which didn't have this infield content which slows them down, and has been key to getting the British Truck Racing Association Championship here. And this event getting bigger and bigger by the year. I've got to say, more people coming in. We've been here the last few years, and it really is beginning to grow. And if you look across, you can see the banks there in the distance. Most of the spectator banking is behind our camera position, so you don't always get to see the crowds. But when you look across the track, you can see that the banks are absolutely rammed. And bear in mind, it's a 3 mile circuit. There's plenty of circuit for the spectators to spread themselves around. So what I'm saying is, a new circuit relatively to truck racing. And that's why John Newell in the 18 machine there is familiarising himself with the track. He's not raced here before, many of the other drivers have. Jamie Anderson getting on the case now of Craig Reed. Beg your pardon, Simon Reed, having a Division 2 moment there. Simon, the faster of the 2 Reed brothers. Again, tongue-in-cheek joke, which many of you may well know. You can see the spectator bank in the back of that shot. Ryan Smith still out front. Ryan very nearly 2 seconds clear of David Jenkins in qualifying, and possibly in this race as well. Jenks still second in the championship, but Ryan Smith, the man who's had 17 wins so far this year from 23 races. Incredible run. David Jenkins has had 3 wins, Stuart Oliver's had 1, Jamie Anderson has had 2 wins, and the drivers that have also finished on the podium this year, we've had Shane Brereton, who had a 2nd place at Donington in his lone outing in the championship. Terry Gibbon had a 3rd, Luke Taylor has had a 2nd, Matt Summerfield's had a 2nd, and Simon Reed's had a P2 as well. So plenty of drivers on the podium as Anderson gets a little lock up there coming out of Murray's, a little bit crossed up we should say, and manages to floor it. Jenkins goes across the line in 2nd, Reed in 3rd, then Jamie Anderson. He's lost a fair amount of time there, Jamie Anderson. Here comes Jenkins, Reed next up in the Iveco, and watch for Jamie Anderson in the black truck behind. He was right with him as they came through Corham, but has lost ground. Stuart Oliver looking a little bit off colour in the Volvo, sadly, the multi-champion. Ask anybody who knows anything about truck racing, and amongst the first 3 names you'll hear from over the years, you'll probably hear the likes of names like Steve Parrish from people who watched it back in the day, but Stuart Oliver's name will always come up, multi-champion. There's Dave Jenkins, another former champion, still in 2nd place. Ryan Smith motoring away with this one. So the MAN's at the head of the field. Jamie Anderson trying to close in once again on Simon Reed. The Iveco, the interloper at the moment with the MANs, and then the Volvo of Stuart Oliver. Scania driven by Martin Gibson, adding the other variety in Division 1 for our 24th race of the season, believe it or not. We get an incredible amount of races over the course of the year. Some of them are standalone on the bigger tracks. Snetterton, I think, is actually licensed for more trucks on circuit than, say, Brands Hatch, because it is bigger. And so we might, at the end of the meeting, depending on retirees and technical problems, see the Division 1 and the Division 2 trucks on circuit at the same time, which is a terrific spectacle for the spectator. And again, look at all the cars parked up there on the outside. You've got the same again of all those spectators on the infield parked up to watch. So there's a huge crowd here at Snetterton to enjoy this, and not only the racing, there's support racing from the pickup trucks, the Legends cars, and the Mighty Minis on with us this weekend. They're all good British Automobile Racing Club formulae who put on some great entertainment. And then if you can wrench yourself away from trackside, there's there's fun fairs, monster truck rides, a whole host of things for a great family day's entertainment. As Dave Jenkins in the MV commercial. Digraph, Morris Lubricants, MAN, continues on apace. Still in 2nd position. There is Rick Collett, qualified in 8th, and not that far away at the moment from John Newell. So a battle may be about to engage between those two. Ahead of them, Martin Gibson. As we said, a newcomer this year. Martin's had just 3 retirements so far this year and has had a very good season for a newcomer. It is not an easy sport for a newcomer to come. It's not impossible. Most newcomers, I guess, would probably look at Division 2 and then think about making the move up into Division 1 at some point. But Martin's come in, part of the Oliver team, so he's got plenty of mentoring capability and tutelage there available from the team. I said Collett was closing up on John Newell, so this is for 8th place. Ricky Collett, look at that, very spectacular. Newell runs a little bit wide. Collett got crossed up, but didn't lose that much momentum, and I think was about to nab 8th position from Ryan Smith, who unsurprisingly has the fastest lap of the race on lap 3, 2:23.091. And believe it or not, Ryan Smith in race spec is quicker than he was in qualifying, as John Newell gets it spectacularly sideways. I had a worrying moment that was going to hit the barrier, but he's actually, the camera angle there zooming across meant that his truck was, it looked like it might go in the barrier. The barrier was actually some way behind him, but John Newell having a big moment. That was accelerating out of Palmer, the left-hander, and just gyrated. So that, I think, is going to route him to 9th position in the race. Rick Collett won't feel under pressure to have that place retaken from him. But the number 1 truck still there. Ryan Smith out front. There is John having recovered from that. And as we said, learning this circuit. First time here. And there's no opportunity to come and test your truck here prior to the meeting. There was pre-event, pre-meeting testing, as it were, on the Friday, but other than that, there's no opportunity to come and test here. So if you are going to learn the track, it kind of has to be on a PlayStation or something like that, or simulator, to learn the ins and outs of the circuit. But there's absolutely no substitute for pedaling the truck around, and there aren't any truck test days apart from the meeting itself. So most of the other drivers do that, so you're not really getting yourself any advantage over the other drivers in doing so. So it is a big ask for John Newell. Ryan Smith through in the lead. David Jenkins here in second position. And Jenkins putting in some good lap times. We've still got Simon Reed in fourth. Here's Rick Collett down in 8th place at the moment. The HGV direct machine. Surprising to look at his sequence of results. His best result is 6th place this year. And he's had 5 of those. And that really surprises me that he hasn't had a higher finish than that, because Rick Collett, a driver well capable of taking wins, and I'm surprised we haven't even seen him on the podium. This, though, is the 3rd position. Not quite a battle yet, but I think it's going to be, because Jamie Anderson is closing up on Simon Reed, who gets a little bit of a wobble there coming out of Agostini through Hamilton. Now, you can't actually see the Hamilton bend here. It's more of a kink from the outfield shot. When you look at it from on board, you can actually see the left-hand turn. Then they go right into Oggie's first part, Oggie's second part, short straight down into Williams. Here is Mr. Collett still running, nice and wide into Agostini, the hairpin. Again, doesn't look much like a hairpin from our camera angle. That's really to where the camera is. Nice power slide there by Rick Collett. Back with the race leader Ryan Smith. Big lead. Fastest lap still on lap 3. Hasn't bettered that 2:23.091. Averaging 74.69 miles per hour. Remember, they top out at 100. They're not allowed to do any more than 100 mile an hour. So they're limited to that for safety. If they went any quicker and then went off at top speed, they would destroy the barriers, and that is why that limit is on there. And it works really, really well indeed. Quick look at John Newell, and back to the battle for 3rd place. Jamie Anderson closing in on Craig Reed. So Anderson looking racy here. I keep saying Craig Reed, I do apologise. Simon Reed, the man from Stoke-on-Trent. So Simon Reed being chased by the Colville-based man, the Anderson Race Sport MAN TGX closing in. And Simon Reed, is he going to be able to hang on to a podium here? I guess the closer somebody gets, the more you look in the mirrors, potentially the more you could compromise your racing line. I was chatting to circuit commentator Mark Werrell about names, and Mark was saying that he's been commentating on the Mini Championship this year, where Kyle Reed is racing. No relation to either of the Reed brothers, but he has called Simon Kyle Reed, and it's a very easy thing where you've got a popular surname to do something like that. But this is Simon Reed, and he was the first of the 2 Reed brothers to come racing. Jamie Anderson closing in very much. Here in truck number 11 is Martin Gibson. The man we haven't seen a lot of is the guy in front of him. That's the 37, Terry Gibbon, who's running in 6th. But here's Ryan Smith, still fastest lap, still building a lead. And it is 8 seconds at the moment, his lead. John Newell is looking a lot more settled now, so all of these racing laps are helping him a great deal. So you think through the qualifying session they did, most of them did 5 or 6 laps, majority of them did 6, a few of them did 5. John Newell actually only got 1 lap in on qualifying, so this is pretty much his qualifying and extension of the test session for him. It's his first time here. But the battle for 3rd very much on, and Simon Reed under pressure here from first full-year driver Jamie Anderson. Joined us for a one-off last year, and he's been a very welcome addition to the grid. And he's going to be battling for championship honours next year for sure. He's 3rd in the championship this year, and he's piling the pressure on. Now, in theory, he shouldn't make up any ground along the straight unless it's through the draft. So where you can make up the time when these trucks are topped out is on cornering, exiting the corner, or indeed braking going in. Can also benefit from taking a faster line and gaining momentum that way. And Anderson putting the pressure here on Simon Reed, getting it right that time as they go through Coram. But here is the race leader, Ryan Smith, still there out front. This is going to potentially be an 18th win of the year. He goes across the line once again. Gives a little toot as he does so onto the last lap. 3 miles to go between Ryan Smith and win number 18 of the season. Will extend the championship lead over David Jenkins. by a solitary point. All that work, and he only extends the lead by a point if David Jenkins finishes in second place, because it's 15 points for the win, 14 for second place, 13 for third, and so on and so forth. Reed's still there. Anderson, you can't see him, he's that close, he's shadowing him. Well, having said that, when the camera gets square on, it's about a truck's length between the two. Anderson still chasing hard and maybe overdriving it a little bit. He's got momentum. Is he going to look at the inside? No, he can't do that. Or can he now? As they go into the hairpin, Anderson draws up alongside and has got his nose in front. Superb move by Jamie Anderson. He threw the truck into the hairpin. And he's going to be on the outside line, I think. No, he's got the job done. As they go into the left-hander at Palmer, I thought his best bet would be to go through Agostini, but Jamie Anderson has made it through into third place. His next target would have been Dave Jenkins. There is Jenks. Ryan Smith is going to maintain fastest lap. Didn't get the fastest sector on that one. Now we've got coming back for third place, Simon Reed getting stuck in. Tail happy there. That will lose a bit of momentum, but he was having a go back at the 23, who's made it up into third place. So Jamie Anderson, good drive from him, started in third, of course. Simon Reed started fourth and had a great start to get up into third. Smith and Jenkins, of course, starting 1 and 2. Clear circuit in front of Jamie Anderson. Clear circuit, that is, until you see David Jenkins in his black MAN in second position. Best lap for Jenkins in this race, a 2 minutes 24.7, and Anderson's done a 2:25.1. So they have pretty much mirrored what they did in qualifying. The race leaders through. Here comes the, well, it's not a battle anymore, it's settled, isn't it? Jamie Anderson there in third place. Simon Reed P4. And then Stuart Oliver in fifth as the race leader rounds Coram for the final time into the 90-degree Murray's corner. And we're going to see some showboating here from the championship leader Ryan Smith in the Taylor's UK International #1 truck, the defending champion, double champion, looking to make it a hat-trick this year, buzzes the pit wall and takes the win number 18 of the year for him. David Jenkins is still running in second place. You can see the trucks right in the background heading across the line. Jenkins in second place, third will go to Jamie Anderson there, just ahead of the black 23. Then Simon Reed fourth. Stuart Oliver will come home in fifth position, just coming into shot now as they climb up the hill. You get a really good shot there of that climb. Oliver now about to go slightly downhill in towards Riches. Let's take a look at the final result. Smith the winner from Jenkins and Anderson. Simon Reed fourth from Stuart Oliver and Terry Gibbon. Martin Gibson next. Ricky Collett in 8th and John Newell in 9th.
Ryan, superb start to the weekend. Record pace qualifying, and then you just off away. Lights to flag win, fastest lap again.
Yeah, fastest lap, and I think it's a new lap record. And now after 2 laps, I just thought back it home, bring it home. But you know, when you back it off a little bit and you go a little bit slower, you think, oh, I hope nothing breaks on the truck. You know, when you're on the edge, the mind goes blank. So teams work very hard. Arnie, my brother, you know, Taylor's Transport, again, have had a big input. Taylor's son's here this weekend. He's going to be having a go in this very near future. So we've got exciting projects on at the minute. So things are looking really good.
David, solid start to the weekend after it was a disappointing end here last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we got involved in the incident in the last race here last year, so good solid start to the weekend, but we haven't found yesterday's pace yet, so we need to find that first of all, and then we need to look for the last little bit to catch Ryan. So I mean, Ryan made that look, well, he did a great job in that race then to just keep extending his lead lap on lap.
At least the weather seems to have settled down now. We had a little bit of wet, dry earlier on. The Division 2 trucks went out in very mixed conditions, but things seem to have settled. Does that make life a little bit easier?
Yeah, it makes it more consistent. You know, when you're just chasing small margins, if the weather's consistent, you can, you know, it helps. If you're a long way off, sometimes you like a massive change in the weather because you can use that to your advantage. But we just need good, dry, fast, consistent racing this weekend.
Jamie, cracking race there. Highlight for me your battle there with Simon.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we had a slight problem with one of the mechanics putting the truck in when we went into qualifying, so we had to put 2 new front tyres on. So the start of the race was a bit entertaining, a bit of understeer, but gently we pushed on from there. And you know, Simon's pace was phenomenal, and I got boxed in off the start, and it gave me a bit of a back step really to start the race. But the lads come on the radio and said it's the last lap, and I knew I had to make a manoeuvre, and the time was there, and he made a slight mistake, and the chance was there in the bag.